are now listening to the NYYST
Podcast.
Welcome back. This is episode 187 of the NYYST podcast. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
You.
And he's running late. But he'll be here soon. Stat Guy Rye.
Bum.
It's unfortunate that Stat Guy Rye is running late today because we have to squeeze this in early. He's trying to get a ride on the Brett Jet before the storm comes, so hopefully we'll have baseball tonight because there is a little bit of inclement weather coming the way. But he said if he wanted to be on this, and, you know, in case you didn't hear that, my dog is with me this week. Yeah, I'm trying to be a good husband here and let my wife and daughter nap and take the dog up here. So, you know, these are the pitfalls of life, I guess.
Do you think he'll be treated nicer today and appreciated more?
Absolutely not.
Perfect.
But anyway, we don't have time for this right now. We got to bring Guardy in. He wants to get on the Brett Jet before the rain comes. And sorry, Stat Guy Rye's got to miss this, but we got to bring in Guardy here for the Guardy Report.
Guardy, what up?
Hey guys, am I still out on your show, or you guys turn on me like everybody else after a week's worth of games?
Guardy, we'll never
Whoa.
turn on you, bro. And what's going on?
Yo, Guardy, let me tell you something, bro. Don't ever come in
Sorry.
on.
No,
come
you're
in
right,
like
guys.
That, bro.
I'm just.
Don't ever come in like
that.
that.
You're right, Christian. I'm taking my anger out on you guys. It's not fair to you. Y'all been really good to me, and
What's going on? What is
look,
Christian?
man, I mean,
what have you seen? Are the fans turning on you? Is it your family?
well, it's not going good. I mean, I've heard there's some rumors going around, and people aren't happy with my I think I'm 1 for 16 out of the gate. My one being a dinger, by the way, in case y'all didn't know that. And you know, guys, I'm going through a bit of a slump right here to jump out of the gates, and I understand the frustration here, but I've only played in 6 damn games this year, guys. Give me a break.
Guardy, so social media is, you know, you're actually more hated than Gary Sanchez right now. They want you out of the lineup more than they want Gary Sanchez out of the lineup. And you know how much Yankee Twitter hates Gary Sanchez.
Hey, look, man, I've been here the longest, right? I'm the longest tenured Yankee. If anyone's going to take that, I'd rather it be me than Gary. I'd rather the attention be on me because I've been here for damn 13 years, guys.
They want you They don't just want you benched. They want you traded.
Yeah, no, I said it's unfortunate, but you know, I'm not gonna let it get to me, guys. I've been in this league long enough, and I'm just out there to do one thing, and that's play hard.
Guardy, so we got to ask you about this. There was a burner account out the other night about it. I think it's called @Does Guardy Have a Hit? Do you care to comment about that?
Yeah, well, he better delete that account because Guardy does have a hit.
I think he turned it. It was what? It started as Does Gary Sanchez have a hit? And then it turned into Guardy, and then Guardy hit a dinger.
No, well, Guardy had a hit before Gary.
Okay.
So it
turned into Gary.
Guardy, I mean, is there anything you want to say to the fans? I mean, one guy tweeted that the Yankees should tell you, quote,
I want them to look up the definition of a slump, all right? Look up the definition of a slump. Look up the definition of how many games are played. I get it. We're 10% through now because we're only playing 60. I get it. But I'm Brett Gardner. All right?
Guardy, what if it gets to a point where you're called into Boone's office with Cashman and they tell you that for the remainder of the season it's Clint Frazier's job to lose and not yours?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you who's running that damn burner account.
All right, Guardy, we got to let you go, man, because you're making wild accusations about your teammates now.
You know what? Maybe it's time to get that out there. Clint Frazier, delete your Twitter.
All right, Guardy, it's time to go.
All right, you're right. Let's edit this all out, all right, guys? I'm gonna go. I got the Brett Jet running, low on gas. Take it easy, guys.
All right,
Later,
Guardy,
Guardy.
maybe you'll be in a better mood next time.
Guardy report.
Wow, he was
Angry.
Fired up.
I think Stat Guy just got here too.
Is that who it is? And Stat Guy Rye.
Oh, what up? What are you guys doing? Thanks for starting without me. What else is new?
Well, we told you. Yeah, there's Creed. Hello, Creed. You're probably a better host.
I gotta keep him from crying here.
It's all right. Let him bark. Who gives a shit?
You will, because then you'll be like, oh, then I gotta edit out dog barks.
You want me to bring my kid up here? I'll just have him bark too.
Wait, but this is a dog.
Just,
Yeah,
just give,
and what's
just
Jack?
give Creed a little food. Or a little slap.
I
Just
had to
kidding, just
bring him up
kidding.
a biscuit earlier. All right, you know what? I'm gonna let him go. Hold on.
All right, me and Ryan will talk.
What up, Chris?
What's up, man?
Good start to the season, huh?
So we got to talk about this real quick. We have we're trying to get a new tradition going where, Ryan comes over for a lot of games, but whenever Cole pitches, you have to be here. Have you been here for every win?
I think I missed. Well, yeah, I think maybe I missed one. That
Yeah.
3-2 game 3 against
Yeah.
Washington. I don't think I was here. But man, we got 9 years left to Garrett Cole. Let's get a little tradition going because I'm not missing a start. You're a great person to watch him with because you know what he's doing out there. You could learn a little bit from him, learn a little bit from you. Enjoy some Yankee baseball.
Christian, would you say Cole's second start, he looked more like himself or less like himself than the first game? And it's tough to say because he started out a little crazy again, but what did he retire, 14 in a row or something?
Yeah, nah. I
He
don't
still
know.
didn't have his best stuff, though.
No, he still hasn't had his best stuff yet this year.
So
But
we
Which
still
is
haven't
crazy,
seen
though.
Garrett Cole yet. We really haven't. And do you think Boone left him in an inning too long, or are you okay with that?
No, I'm perfectly okay with that. I saw a lot of people complaining about that on Twitter that, oh, you should have taken him out. But you got to build this guy's pitch count up.
Yeah.
You were in a lopsided game. He maybe after the home run, he should have got him and not let him give up that extra double there. Maybe that was the time to get him. Maybe you left him in a batter too long.
Yeah.
But I have no issue with him going back out there. It's a lopsided game. You got a guy. You want this guy to be a horse. You got to, get his pitch count built up.
And his first start was shortened
Overmore.
due to what did they cancel that game?
Oh yeah, it got delayed,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
he was at,
wasn't
like,
going to come back
78
out
pitches.
anyway. Yeah.
Or 87 maybe, but somewhere between there.
I'll be right back. Now the dog's outside barking.
You have dog problems. Yeah, I would say that Garrett Cole might be a guy who's going to take a few starts to really get into his midseason form, obviously. If you look at his stats from last year, he was dominant. He was really good all year, but he didn't really start turning it on until
I think his last 22
his
starts,
last-
he
yeah.
went 16-0 with like
Yeah.
a .78 or 1.78.
But, like, his first
Disgusting.
his first handful of starts, but last year I believe,
Yeah.
he wasn't the same pitcher as he was ending the season. I mean, he was truly unhittable to end the season with that many
Was
starts in a
Garrett
row.
Cole?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, he's obviously a guy who's going to take a few starts before we see his true potential.
Also,
on
new
the mound.
team, different setting.
Yeah, I don't think
no
that bothers a
fans.
guy like Cole.
No, I don't think.
I think
a lot
Garrett
bothers
Cole
him.
is so locked in when he's on the mound. That's why he's so successful, even when he doesn't have his best stuff.
All right, so now that the dog is allowed to, he's just running the house as he wants to here. So now we can focus on the show here. Let's reset for a quick minute. We're recording Sunday afternoon, early Sunday afternoon. It's about 12:15 right now because the Yankees are playing the Boston Red Sox this evening at 7 o'clock on Sunday Night Baseball. So with our usual tradition for the NYYST podcast, when the Yanks are on Sunday Night Baseball, we do a Saturday morning afternoon show so you guys can listen to this to kind of get you ready for Sunday Night Baseball. So that's where we're at here. We thought we were going to come on here after we recorded last week talking about a week's worth of games with the Phillies. That didn't happen. The Yankees were off Monday and Tuesday and then wound up in was it Monday? Yeah, and then Wednesday
Yeah.
and Thursday they were in Baltimore because there was a massive coronavirus outbreak amongst the Miami Marlins. I think we're up to 18 players
Is it really that high?
in personnel. Yeah, in Miami. So because the Marlins were in Philly before that weekend, before the Yankees were scheduled to come in there, they shut down the Phillies. The Yankees spent 2 days in Philly doing nothing, and then they kind of switched around the schedule. So the Yankees played Baltimore Wednesday and Thursday, and now they have 18 consecutive wins over the Baltimore Orioles, which is almost unfathomable that a team can lose that many consecutive times to another team.
Isn't it 19 now? Oh no, 18. They didn't play.
No matter how good and how bad both teams are, that you can lose to one team 18 straight times.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny
in baseball? Also, just with the Marlins, it is 18 players, 20 members altogether, including their staff.
Do you remember? You know what's funny about the 18 straight wins? Do you remember a couple years ago in 2018? I guess it was obviously when the Yankees had the Orioles early. And they got off to an early lead, and then they blew it. And then I think they lost that series. And then they lost a couple other series to them or something. And everyone was flipping out that you can't lose to the Orioles. This team sucks if they can't beat the Orioles. And now it's like they just don't lose to the Orioles.
Yeah, I think they
anymore.
lost series to like Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, like all these middle of the line teams, but haven't lost to Baltimore since then.
Let's call it for what it is at this point. And this I kind of hate this about the season so far, but I love it because the Yankees are 6-1. Other than Scherzer, I feel like every pitcher that's been thrown out there against them, you just don't even know who the fuck they are. Like, I mean, it's just been if the Yankees weren't 6-1 right now, I'd be disappointed.
Besides Patrick Corbin, it was I guess
Patrick
Scherzer
Corbin and Scherzer, sorry, but they won that game.
Well, you should know who John Means is.
Yeah,
yeah,
but you know what he means.
But like.
That's a good
Come
one.
on, he's not like...
You know what John means.
We haven't seen a legitimate pitcher outside of Scherzer and Corbin.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that when we talk about the Red Sox, but, there's no real trade. I mean, there is a trade deadline, but we are not there yet. So sources had to, they had to come up with something else, and it's apparently that the season is going to be canceled tomorrow. But although now it sounds like Manfred, you had to quote, I don't know.
Yeah, Manfred squashed it. He said he's not a quitter. There's no reason to stop now, and the players the teams have to be better. And I agree. I think that there's no reason to stop this season. I think they need to be better at containing this, and they're baseball players, right? We know how baseball players are. They go into that clubhouse, and apparently, from what I've heard, like the teams that have had the outbreaks, they're going out to dinner together. They're doing this together, that together, which is obviously important in a regular season. But right now, you kind of got to break that up.
Yeah, it says that an MLB investigation found that players went out, visited bars. Before that,
I mean, you can't be doing
Miami
that
Marlins
shit.
outbreak. You can't, but if you're not regulating it, then you can't stop these guys. That's MLB's problem, in my opinion, that they didn't set out a proper guideline to make sure these guys don't go out. If there's no restrictions, they're just human beings at that point.
We have another issue now, is that it's because the Milwaukee and St. Louis series has been canceled this weekend, and now we're hearing reports that there's at least 5 players, personnel in St. Louis that have come tested positive. So it looks like there's another outbreak amongst another team.
They need to use that Field of Dreams field as like an outbreak alternate site, so that they don't have to cancel these games and they can play without these players that have unfortunately contracted.
All the guys have COVID, go to Field of Dreams, and they play against each other.
That would be awesome.
They film sequel.
Because the problem then, right, when these guys outbreak is that they have to clean out the facilities and really go through the clubhouses. But just take the guys that are not testing positive, still on your roster, that is expanded for this very reason, and bring them to a neutral site, an alternate site, because you can't keep postponing games like this. It's going to catch up to you.
I don't understand why. I do in the Marlins case, if there's 18 players, 20 people total, right? 2 staff members, you said, or whatever.
18 players.
Yeah, 18 players. That's different. If you have to postpone those games because, 18 players is
18 is a lot.
Insane. But if you have 4 or 5 guys getting it, like you said, that's why the rosters are expanded right now. I don't understand why. Like the Yankees have had players test positive and they're still in the stadium and still doing whatever.
Before the season started.
Yeah, but who cares?
I mean, I guess.
And it was like one here, one there. This is all at once. This is what they're trying to avoid, is mass positive tests happening at once.
And sometimes you do test positive like 2 days later too, right? Like there's no time
Right.
timer on it.
Can you try and verify this? Soto came out. I don't know if you saw this, and he had a couple statements about his test that he thinks it was a false positive.
Juan Soto?
Yeah, because he said he's been doing everything right. He's kept his distance from everyone. He's always worn a mask, whatever. But then I think, and I don't know if this is just speculated or it came out that there was 2 false positives out of Miami. And I don't know if that was confirmed or if it was just someone speculating. But apparently it seemed like 2 tests were false positives there. And that's another thing we have to look at. I mean, not all these tests are 100% accurate, but when you have 18
Juan Soto
players,
thinks that it was a false positive.
yeah, and they happen, right? But when you have 18 players, that's different. I mean, you're not going to have
If you want to tell me one guy,
right,
okay.
exactly.
But 18 guys, there's not 18. You're not getting
Right.
a high percentage of false positives when you have 18 people testing
Right.
positive.
And I mean, out of all the players you've heard, how many players have you heard actually felt symptoms? 1?
Well, Eduardo Rodriguez,
Okay.
he opted out of the season now because of the effects of the myocarditis that he developed from having coronavirus. So
Right.
he's not playing.
And
Freddie Freeman was really sick. He had COVID and he got really sick. Sessa, we haven't seen back. He dealt with symptoms. I mean, I'm sure there's other guys out there that have dealt with symptoms.
yeah, most are
we don't-
asymptomatic.
We don't know. I mean, we don't really know because we don't have the full list of guys, like who's dealing with what out in Miami.
Right.
These guys could be dealing with symptoms.
Yeah, because they don't have to disclose that.
And this is what
Chapman
this is
felt
what-
nothing, he said.
Oh, he can tell you that.
Well, he was posting pictures working out every day on Instagram at his house.
This guy gets fucking coronavirus and he comes back and he's looking
And
like
he's
the
bigger.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I mean, if you really want a cure for coronavirus, you should just start doing lab experiments on Aroldis Chapman.
Yes, agreed.
What was I going to say? That's the scary part about this virus is that you can get 20 people testing positive. None of them show any symptoms. So unless they're in a work environment like Major League Baseball, they have no idea anything's bothering them. And that's how it gets spread.
Yeah.
So, and that's why they want to what do you want right now? You have a free reign of the house. There's a 4th member of the show today in case
That's
anybody
okay.
was
I'm
wondering.
okay with it.
So, what was I saying?
That if you're in any normal work environment, you're not getting tested regularly, or at least in most cases, but MLB
Yeah.
is. And that's why you're seeing a lot of positives right now.
And that's why another thing, people are saying, oh, MLB should have done a bubble. I don't know that would have worked. I don't know that would have worked with Major League Baseball.
No.
Because with the NBA and the NHL, they're pretty much just going right into their postseasons. And
Also-
teams are going to be, and some teams are going to be out in what, 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah.
One, it's
And then-
less teams, and 2, the roster's only 11 guys in basketball.
Yeah, right. It's not
They're
as
only
it's
carrying
not as
11.
much.
The Yankees are carrying what, 33 right now? How many? 30?
Well,
30.
30 at home, and then
Yeah, I
when they
mean,
go on the road, they're allowed to take
Incomparable.
another 3.
And it's 8 games in a playoffs. The bubble works so well in the NBA because their season was pretty much almost done.
Where's your phone, dude?
As far as I forget what I was. Oh, with the Phillies, are they cleared now? Like, will the Yankees be able to play them?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to say 100% because I don't think anybody knows 100%, but the Phillies have been cleared. They've gotten no positives out of all the tests that they played. So that's a good sign, I guess. And somebody else had made this point on Twitter earlier today that it doesn't seem to be spreading team to team. That the outbreaks are being confined within
Yeah.
the team itself, which is good.
Yeah, because
I mean,
that just means the game itself isn't the cause of the spread. It's how the teams are conducting themselves elsewhere.
But what they keep saying, like, I cannot. I'm so happy that they're on vacation this week, so I can listen to 5 straight days of nothing but the fan. I don't have to turn it off for 4 hours in the middle of the day. But I can't deal with Moose and Maggie anymore. I've said it 100 times on this show, and I was just literally going across the street to get something to eat the other day, and I didn't bother. I left it on, and they're screaming and bitching about, how the MLB players don't take it seriously, and, they're high-fiving and spitting. Well, first of all, look, dude, my baseball career petered out my junior year of high school. My highlight was that I had 2 fucking RBIs and I hit 267s. So who the hell am I, right? But Anybody that spent any time on a competitive baseball field knows that it is impossible
Yes.
to play that game and not spit. Whether you
Yeah.
have seeds in your mouth, gum, or you're just fucking hocking a loogie. It's
Or
impossible
you got to chaw. But listen, here's my thing, right? What is the big deal about spitting if you're not around other players? Are players seeing you spit and going and licking the ground?
Well, Luke Voigt did it yesterday when he was holding somebody on first base. So
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, like
but
be smart
still,
with it. Like that's okay. But if you're in the outfield with no one even close to you, you can't hock a little lube on the ground.
Here's something I tweeted yesterday was that, if you really take this and you look at everything, there's no reason why healthy young athletes can't find a way to make this work without canceling the season and without putting other people who are at higher risk in danger. But I thought about this and I would be okay with it. I don't know what the players would feel. How would you feel about outside of the pitchers? I think everyone has to wear a mask at all times, and it's a level playing field if everyone's wearing a mask. So you can't tell me that, oh, I didn't have a good year or this sucks because everyone has to wear a mask.
if that'll make people feel better, then I'm all for it. Because I wear a mask every day in everything that and what I do daily. It doesn't. I mean, it sucks. It's annoying, but if he's eating what I think he's eating, I'm gonna fuck him up.
I would
right
at
now.
least make the first baseman and catcher wear a mask if you're going to do that, because those are the two that will most likely not be able to adhere to social distancing.
Yeah.
Because, does Aaron Judge really need a mask sitting by himself out there in right field? Maybe the middle infielders need him because they may have
But what I'm saying is,
no, I like what you're saying.
If you're gonna mandate it like that, it has to be a level playing field where everyone's wearing them, because you can't just
Right,
say,
I agree.
oh, Aaron Judge doesn't have to wear one, but this player
it's
does.
unfair to first baseman.
And you know what?
catchers then.
We all know the masks aren't 100%, but if you get the right kind, they definitely help. And maybe it would, and not just on the field. You got to wear it in the clubhouse too. And,
Forever Collectibles, FOCO for short, has actually licensed the official Gators in masks that you see the teams wearing, and I actually ordered one.
they're nice.
Yeah, so they all have friggin' access to them. They're given to them for free. I mean, it's just like anything else, equipment-wise, that they have access to the players. So just pick. Do you like the Gator or do you like the mask better? If that's going to put people at ease, then just do it. And if you want to make an exception for the pitchers, then that's fine. Really, who should really be all wearing it is if you're at bat and the umpires and the catchers, because there's no social distancing.
Or how about
They're all
this? How about this? Players don't have to wear them when they're on the field, but in the dugout and in the clubhouse, you have to wear one.
That's where I think that would be the middle ground you'd find where, all right, if you're not on the field, you're in the clubhouse, you're in the
And
stands.
they all have the Gators. They don't have to keep them over their face when they're hitting or or in the field. And then when you're walking back into the clubhouse, you put it on. But here's my problem with those Gator masks, right? They market that they're breathable and that, they're for athletes. Well, if they're so breathable, how I mean, we know how tiny the particles are of COVID. That's why it spreads even through the mask, that they're not 100% going to block it. If these things are so breathable for athletes, I mean, how effective are they going to really be?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure they've done their testing
I
on
guess
it.
it's better than
So
just
get
open
them.
air.
I mean, the first time I
don't
ever
know, though.
seen anything like it was, I think it was in the movie Creed, when he's running on a treadmill and he's got that mask on, and it's supposed to help, you breathe. I don't even know what it does, but get him something like that.
Yeah.
I think Under Armour sells shit like that.
They do.
They're also that they're marketing now, that they're really pushing now. It's like an athletic thing, but it's a face covering.
Yeah,
so get them some shit like that.
Yeah.
Under Armour does make those, and
There will be
apparently they're really
something.
comfortable.
By the end of the year, there's people out there that are brewing something.
Look,
up to
I'm
try
not
and
someone
figure
who
that out.
I'm just someone who be smart about it. I'm not someone who goes crazy and is scared every day. I've informed myself enough, but when there's ways to prevent certain things, don't be stupid. Right? Like, here's an example. My dad's girlfriend, it was her birthday, and she was waiting on her test results. She wasn't feeling well. And I said, if she doesn't get her test results back and confirm that she's negative, I'm not going there for her birthday. That would be something stupid.
Right.
Where some people feel, oh, this is fine, I don't care. No, if you know someone's going to get it or might have it, be smart. And in baseball, I think the same thing goes. You don't have to go crazy. I don't think these guys are going to be put at high risk, but we need to prevent things where we can.
And it's August, right? So let's take Miami, for instance. You only have to play another 2 months, and then you're done. Then you have the off season. Then you can go to your bars. You could do all that. I get that you want to socialize and do all that, but
if you opted into this season,
do you want a season or not? I mean, that's what it comes down to.
If you opted into this season, you had to know that you were going to sacrifice a lot of the normalities of a regular season. That should have been a commitment to you when you opted into this season and played. I'm sorry. And there's no excuse for it.
I think they brought this up on the game last night, but how are you going to prevent teams that are out of a playoff race in mid to late September from adhering to these protocols?
Okay, so you know what's
eliminate them.
You know what's funny? Me and Ryan were kind of joking last night, but it would have been a good idea if baseball tiered off the season, where if you didn't hit X amount of wins, you kind of just started dropping off. Like after, you would tier it off as how many games for the first tier, and the bottom whatever teams drop until you get to 16 teams.
Yeah, because take basketball, for instance, right now. They didn't bring teams like the Knicks to the bubble because they were completely eliminated. So, play 30 games. You got 30 left. Whoever's left out of that pool, you pick from there. But teams like
and
the Royals,
the schedules are all computerized now with algorithm, so it's not like they couldn't have kept updating the schedules quickly.
And if you do an even number, it's.
I think that would have been a good idea. It would have eliminated a lot of this.
Yeah, if you're trying to think of outside the box and find ways to manage and strategize against this virus, that could have been a plausible solution.
Yeah, and just to go back to my point about the spitting, is that they were, Moose and Maggie were also complaining about the high fives and the fist bumps. What do you want guys to do? They were flipping out because you know how the Yankees outfielders jump, they do the side bumps they do it in the outfield, that they were complaining that they were doing that they weren't taking it seriously. I mean,
you know what? Then let's have a fucking ball boy who's standing right by the end of the dugout. Every time you go on and off the field, he sprays a little bit of Purell on your hands.
But here's the thing though. These people
we told that we could do fist bumps and elbow bumps.
This is exactly what I was going to say. And it's right on the CDC guidelines. The same people who preach that they can't fist bump and do that are also the same people who don't inform themselves and care enough to go on CDC's guidelines and read what they put up. And the main thing that they put up is this virus is not easily spread, very rarely spread just through passing, fist bumps, whatever. It is passed mostly by conversation up close, that is lasting longer than a minute or so. So if I came over to you and I'm having a conversation at a closer distance than 6 feet, even with masks on,
for 10 minutes,
and we have a 10-minute conversation, which I would hate to do.
Yeah, really.
Then there's a good chance that if one of us has it, we're spreading it to one another. But if I come up to you and I give you a fucking fist bump, the odds of me giving it to you are slim to none. So the same people who preach that they care so much about this shit are the same people who don't care enough to actually read what we're being told. And that's my biggest issue with everything.
So, whatever it takes to get through the season, though. I mean, we don't really need to see people getting super sick and dying possibly and having outbreaks amongst 14 teams, but the fact that we seemingly have 2 outbreaks in the first week of the season is not really good right now. No. So,
and who knows if it'll get worse when it's colder out? We don't know anything about this virus. We haven't experienced it for more than
the only thing we know about this virus is we know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Where did your brother run away to?
I think he's grabbing me something. But you know what'll be cool though? By September, maybe you'll get every team will wear those balaclavas, instead of the masks, like how Boston. Balaclava? That's the word.
I have no idea.
I only know that because of a Vampire Weekend song. If anybody's listening knows the song I'm talking about. It's like the winter. It's like the ski mask. The ski mask.
Okay. So we didn't ask for it at the beginning of the show because we had to throw Guardy on there. Which Ryan, I don't know why we can never get the two of you in a room.
How was he this week?
He was pissed,
angry.
Really? Oh yeah. Why?
Was he
that burner?
Was he hangry or angry?
I think he was a little bit of both. I don't think Gardy eats that much.
Yeah, maybe Snickers.
I
maybe
heard-
Snickers should sponsor that.
I heard
think
Gardy
he
only
the
eats.
I think he eats the tears of Yankees Twitter.
I heard Gardy only eats anything picked fresh off the farm. Like his family has to send him.
Yeah, and he brings it.
The Gardy farm. So please leave us a 5-star rating review and let us know what you think. Do you think that we're going to get through this season? Do you think that the Major League Baseball players are doing enough to prevent the spread of the virus right now? What are your thoughts? Leave us a 5-star rating review on iTunes and let us know.
I think it was more than a coincidence that Judge kind of had his stuff to say the other day about when he was asked about it, and then all of a sudden, Manfred said, "Nah, I'm not canceling the season." I mean, I think Judge has, and other guys obviously, but I think when players come out and show that it would devastate the sport and all of any player on any team, that he changes tune a little bit.
You know, I kind of had the feeling that I would have been okay if they started the season and canceled it. But now that it's happening, and
No.
obviously the Yankees are 6-1, but here's the main reason why: if you cancel this season, Tommy Kahnle is done till next August. So you're gonna cancel a season and nullify everything that's happened, and Tommy Kahnle's career could have been altered because you couldn't.
That's true.
Then don't start it, because these are players' lives.
If you didn't expect this, you have to go into this expecting the worst.
Expect the worst.
And if you can't have a plan in place to get through that, then why start at all? And you're right.
I don't want
like
these
Tommy
guys getting
Kahnle.
hurt if the season's not going to friggin' count.
Yeah, I agree.
Why don't
nothing.
players play in spring training for more than 3 innings so they don't get hurt? They don't have to overexert themselves. They're going out there every night in a shortened sprint of a season where they only have 5-6 off days left, and you're going to cancel it and make it meaningless?
Yeah.
When Tommy Kahnle's career could have just
That's a
been
good point.
ruined. He could be done for nothing.
Before we recap the week, let's bring that up. Fucking Tommy Kahnle needs Tommy John surgery, and that's just a kick in the fucking balls right there.
Yeah.
It really
because
sucks.
I think it was when did he pitch? That was Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Sunday.
Filthy.
When
Filthy.
he was disgustingly good in that game.
Phil's
And then
changeup was nasty.
And then we found out a couple days ago, Boone said that he very ominously said after the game one night that he will have something on Tommy tomorrow, which we all either took that he needed Tommy John surgery or he had friggin' COVID.
I thought it was COVID because he was waiting to see if Tommy wanted it disclosed.
Damn.
And it turned out once you heard that it was a forearm strain, they released that in the morning, you knew it was Tommy John surgery. And it sucks for Tommy. He's a fan favorite. We love Tommy. So we wish him the best. You know, hopefully maybe Ryan can look this up. I think he's a free agent.
He signed through 2020. Yeah, he'll be a free agent actually in 2022. He's still arbitration eligible next year.
Oh, so the Yankees control him for another 2 seasons?
Yeah, he'll be a
That's
free
good.
agent in 2022.
Wow, that was
so
a good
this year
deal.
and next year.
What a good deal. What a good trade.
So right now he's on a 1-year, $2.65 million.
All right, so Yankees still have team control of Tommy for another couple of years. So it will, hopefully Tommy will be able to rebound. We'll see him towards the end of next year, and then in 2022 he can just be crazy Tommy Red Bull for the Yankees.
Yeah.
So,
But it sucks because this isn't April. This isn't the first week of the season in April. It's the first week of the season in August.
Right.
So it's as if he got hurt the second to last month of the season.
So we'll get to it when we get to Saturday night's game, but we'll just do a quick recap. We had so we were supposed to play the Phillies. Obviously, that didn't happen. So the Yankees were actually off Monday and Tuesday, and then they wound up in Baltimore, where they just do what they do. They win.
Yeah.
They beat the Orioles 9-3 on Wednesday night. That was Garrett Cole star. We touched on that earlier. I'm in love with this guy. I never really had a what do you call it, a bromance? No, it can't be really a bromance because he doesn't know who I am.
No, it could
But
be a bromance.
A man crush. I never really had one in my life. I guess many people will joke that I probably had one with Stallone,
Sylvester
but
Stallone.
I definitely have a man crush on Garrett Cole. I love this
Same.
guy.
Same.
and we'll just fast forward real quick to opening night at Yankee Stadium. I didn't know that Susan sung the national anthem because she promised Cole that if he ever became a Yankee, that she would do that. And by the way, you know, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm tipping my cap right now to Susan Waldman. Fucking outstanding rendition of the national anthem. And look, I'm not getting into the kneeling. It's not something I want to get into on this show, but Giancarlo Stanton's been kneeling, and he didn't kneel.
I respected that.
On opening day because of the respect that he had for Susan Waldman singing the national anthem. So fucking tip of the cap to Giancarlo Stanton for that.
I respected that a lot.
Definitely. And I'm not making a political statement one way or the other. Guys can do whatever they want. I'm just saying that the fact that he had that much respect for Susan Waldman, I got a lot of respect for that because I love Susan Waldman. I really do.
You know what?
And I hate Yankee fans that take a shot at her because she's the GOAT, bro.
Let me tell you
She's
something.
untouchable.
It's so funny. And I'm so glad you brought that up because I made a note to myself that I wanted to touch on this. When Susan Waldman became a staple on the radio for us, it was tough. I was younger, and I just never cared for her. I don't know what it was. I never really cared for her. She kind of annoyed me. And as I got older, and I really...
You learned her story.
Yeah, and it's just honestly, she's one of my favorite people in the industry. The fact that I don't think this is brought up enough, the fact that she's the first voice ever heard on WFAN sports radio is, I mean, she was the first broadcast ever for the station, and she's still doing a phenomenal job. And she was nominated for the Hall of Fame this year, you know.
She's in, apparently. I think I read that somewhere that she got in. So
I mean, well deserved. And
we want to. Sorry, just to cut you off. I do want to extend well wishes to John Sterling, who was the guest on this show.
That's what I was going to bring up.
He's missed the last few games. He's under the weather. He had a fever, but tested negative for coronavirus. And John's in his 80s now, so you know he's a fucking warrior too. So. You know what? Just get well, man. And if you make it back and call some games this year, that's just a bonus. But so definitely want to wish John well. And anybody that's got anything negative to say about Susan Waldman, go play in traffic.
Yeah, and I read a tweet yesterday, and it really fucking bothered me. Ricky Ricardo's been filling in,
and he's great.
He's doing a great job.
Let me tell you something. If you've heard anyone talk about Ricky Ricardo, he is very highly regarded in the broadcasting world.
Well, Ryan loves him because he does the Eagle games too.
Yes.
He is phenomenal, okay? And I've never heard him enough speak in English to know how much he sounds like John Sterling. He sounds like a young John Sterling. It's unbelievable.
Those vibes every time I've listened on the radio.
And I'll say this before I bring up the tweet. If John Sterling, I mean, I never want to think of this day, but if John Sterling can't broadcast games anymore, I really hope they consider Ricky Ricardo as a replacement.
Yeah, I think it's
and compensate him enough to pull him away from what he does now. But I'll say this: I read a tweet, and this bothers me when you can't just say something good about someone; you also have to put someone else down.
Right.
People are tweeting out there that Ricky Ricardo is the best. We went from having the worst broadcaster in the booth to now one of the best, and ripping John Sterling. John Sterling's in his fucking 80s, and until last year, never missed a fucking game. Can we show respect to people anymore? Can we show any type of respect? Yeah, John Sterling's lost it a little bit, okay? But those are the you know how you say, like...
Yeah, maybe he thinks a home run is a fly ball to Luke Voigt.
You know how you have, like, you know how you have the friend that's just a fucking whack job a little bit, but you say, that's our friend.
He's your friend.
He's my friend. He's ours. John Sterling's ours, man. You got to just embrace that shit.
100%.
Like, Ryan almost drove his car through a guardrail a couple years ago because John Sterling called a grand slam, and it was like a pop fly to the shortstop.
It is far. It is.
Oh, boy. I just
President.
missed that. I thought it was hit to the
I
fence.
apologize. Susan, I thank you.
You got to love that.
Yeah.
You just embrace it. You hate him for a second.
I don't think you have to love it, but yeah,
Well,
you got it. He's your guy, man. I mean, he's been here for what, 30 plus years, so that's all of our lifetimes, really. I mean, I probably born before Sterling got here. I think he got here, what, like 89, something like that?
Yeah.
But I never listened to a game on the radio before John Sterling took over. That's all I know as a Yankee
Dude,
fan.
back in the day when I was a little kid and, the 90s run and stuff, when the Yankees were in the playoffs and it was network TV, when Kay was with Sterling in the booth, and again, this is before the whole cable TV where, there's delays and stuff. I would mute the TV and turn the radio on to listen to Sterling and Kay. I mean, I grew up listening to that.
And just like his signatures alone, the calls, the way he reacts when the Yankees win a ball game, what he's given to this franchise and the fans.
It's unique. I mean, there's very few broadcasters
Come
out
on,
there.
what's better than hearing John Sterling after a nice dub?
Nothing. I mean, nothing.
With
everybody
Frank
does it.
Sinatra in the background.
You do it in your car. You got your hand up and you got it going on. Everybody does it.
There's no true Yankee fan that hasn't tried to imitate John Sterling at one point in their lives. Not one.
So back to Garrett Cole real quick. Now we sidetracked on Susan and John here. And I said, maybe we touched on it last week. I probably tweeted it a couple times this week too. If you follow me, and I'll plug my Twitter at Christian_NYYST. Stat Guy Rise says I'm a good follow, so take his word for
Absolutely.
it. Garrett Cole is here because he got a $324 million check. I think we're all aware of that, right?
Yes.
But he embraces what it means to be a New York Yankee.
100%.
He embraces what it means to be the ace of a staff that is looking to win not just one, but multiple World Series. He craves this spotlight. He does. And you can tell how much it means to him just based on the way he acts when every time you see him on camera. He was so excited Friday night. You could just tell it was just coming through the TV. And imagine if you would have been able to bask in the adulation of the fans, that if they would have been there Friday. And that's the one. And maybe the Yankees wouldn't have had Susan sing the national anthem if it wasn't the COVID season. But that's my one kind of regret out of all this is that Susan wasn't able to get the standing ovation that she richly deserved for that performance, and just overall her just outstanding work and what she means to and I'll say it, to me and
absolutely
a great section of his fan base.
Absolutely. You know what I love about Cole the most? Like the one thing I've really taken out of him, the guy has a switch, right? Any winner, any true champion has a switch that they turn on and they turn off. When Garrett Cole, now he can turn it on and off whenever, but when he steps on the field, there's no turning it off no matter what, right? And we know that about him. When he steps in between those lines, or when he's warming up, that switch is always on by default. But I've never seen a guy turn it off so well talking to the media, where he can be that workhorse on the mound and he can be that champion who does not smile, who just focuses in. And if he doesn't get the job done, he's fucking pissed, right? He's a true winner. But when he goes back, he's not too big or too good to sit there and say, I love this franchise and I always have. And that's why I think those little clips of after opening day when he said this was my favorite memory as a Yankee fan, I think that's why they're so unique. I've never seen a player that was regarded as so highly as him come off the field and still be able to admit that he's a little geeky fucking Yankee fan still, and this gets him excited. And I think that's why there was no better choice of an ace if the Yankees had to pick one than him.
Yeah, but then on the other end of the spectrum, we got fucking J.A. Happ, who pitched the finale in Baltimore. Yankees stake him to a 5-run lead, and wouldn't you know it, he pissed it away.
Which, honestly, you can't do. You can't do.
No, you can't do. Come on.
You can't do that against good teams, let alone the Orioles.
Hey, 4-3 Orioles.
He left. They were still away ahead, and then
Loizaga looked good, though. He made one bad pitch.
But the fact that he gets a 5-run lead, and then within 2 innings, it was 5-4 or whatever it was.
No, I think it was the next inning, wasn't it?
No, he didn't give up all 4 runs in 1 inning. He gave up.
It was 5-1, and then it was a 3-run home run made it 5-4, I think.
Jesus.
Let me look at the box score from.
While you're looking that up, I just want to bring this up because me and Ryan were talking about it the other night. I know it sounds irrational.
He gave up two 2-run home runs, one in the first and one in the second.
There you go.
And that was after he was staked to a 5-0 lead.
In the first
Right.
against the Orioles.
Yeah, because it was that first inning.
So me
right
and Ryan
away.
were talking about this the other day, and I know it sounds irrational, and I'm not going to sit here and say that Hap can't turn it around. All I'm going to say is we saw what he kind of deteriorated to last year. And now he's picked back up right where he left off, and it's not fair to just judge off of one game. But, and as much as I think he can still turn it around, I think it's also fair to say, that he's got to have a short leash at this point. You know, this is a shortened season. I don't know how many starts we can put Jay Happ back out on the mound before we say, okay, we have enough young talent now that we've seen that at this point, what's the risk in putting one of these kids out there and seeing what they can do?
Well, the issue right now is that we don't have anybody besides Garrett Cole that can get deep into a ball game. Paxton gave you 1 inning, so tonight's going to be a big start for him. Or he gave you 1+. He got knocked down the second inning in his last start. Tanaka gave you, 2 1/3 last night? You got to build him back up.
Yeah. And he looked really good. I know he tired out at the end, but he looked really good. That splitter was filthy.
No, he looked fine. I don't have any issue with the way his stuff looked. He was only good for about 50 pitches, but we'll dive into it a little bit more in a few minutes. Who else? Who else did they have? Look, we'll talk about that too in a couple minutes. Jordan Montgomery got you into the 6th, so that's 2 guys. But you need somebody else that's going to give you innings. And right now, if Hap's not going to be a guy that at least can give you 5, Yankees are in a little bit of trouble right now in that regard because you don't want to start burning out the bullpen because, as we heard last night, Saturday night, Boone didn't want to go to Britton. He didn't want to go to Ottavino because of recent workloads. So you finished the game out with Avalon, Nick Nelson, who gave me a fucking partial how good he looked last night. And what do you call it? David Hill for a 2-inning save. So, I mean, the Yankees have other options, but you don't want to be burning the big guys out right now. You don't.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying where I think
especially that Chapman's not back yet and Tommy's out. You can't kill Ottavino and Britton. You can't do it.
Yeah, because we saw what happened to Ottavino last year when they killed him. But
we'll just call it proctoring from now on.
That's my point with Hap, where I'm not being irrational and saying you got to pull him. No, he's got to just do his job. If you can give me 4 runs over 5 innings, or maybe even take it into the 6th, I'm okay with that. You don't have to be great. You barely have to be good. Just give me a decent start and give me innings where you're still somewhat keeping this team in the game. And that's all your job is this year.
Yeah, his job is to eat innings.
Eat innings, but you have to be somewhat effective. You can't go 5 innings and give up 8 runs.
Right, because, you wouldn't most likely be going 5 innings if you're giving up 8 runs. So
right.
It kind of goes hand in hand.
So at that point, that's why I'm saying he still has to have a shorter leash in a sense of if he's just going to go out there and give me 2+ innings every time and give up 4 or 5 runs, or really, it's not even about the runs that he gave up. If the score was 0-0, that's one thing, but the fact that he had a 5-run lead in the first, you have to be good enough for me to know that I can put you out there, especially against a team like the Orioles, and you're not going to give that lead back up in 2 innings. You can't do that. And they almost lost that game. Thank God Judge hit that home run in the 9th. Because that would have been a shitty loss.
Aaron Judge hit the game-winning home run in the 9th inning. They were down 6-5. He cranks a 3-run bomb. The Yankees win 8-6. That was the second night of now Judge's 4 straight games with a home run. And what did you say yesterday, Ryan?
Why don't you put him in a damn cage?
I'm not putting a dog in a cage. I'm gonna put you in a fucking cage.
What'd I say?
What were you saying yesterday about Judge yesterday? And then I said that's a healthy Aaron Judge. That you had made a comment, and then I said that's because Aaron Judge is healthy.
Right. Well, so, we have to look at his track record here. That maybe he hasn't been healthy since his rookie campaign, and maybe that's why he wasn't the player he was his rookie year. So we're seeing a healthy Aaron Judge right now, And it's not just his defense. I mean, he's been consistent offensively, but not at that rookie year level. Now,
Yeah, he just looks so comfortable at the plate.
It's ridiculous. Him
A
and
lot of them
Stanton,
do. A lot of them
Yeah.
do. Stanton, DJ.
He's cooled
I mean,
off a little bit in the last couple games.
DJ
but-
just but you know
he
what?
Does look he does look better. He's not chasing as much.
Here's my thing with Stanton, though. Yeah, he has cooled off a bit, but he still looks comfortable to me. Where in past years, the last couple years, when he started to cool off or slump, he just looks so tight and like all over the place. Stanton still looks really comfortable up there. I think DJ obviously picked up right where he left off.
Gio.
He wants to be on the show today.
That's fine. Gio's starting to friggin', I mean, you want to talk about heating up. Gio Urshela is starting to really heat up right now. Luke Voigt has had some good hacks. He had that home run a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. I mean, Ryan, from the finale in Washington on, can you just give me like a quick summation of what Voigt's done? Because it was after the second game of the season that I had the field tweets that Voigt was washed up, and now look, he's been on a pretty good tear since then.
Yeah, and Talkman had a good game last night, right? He had a few hits.
Yeah, I think he had a 3-hit night.
3-hit night. I mean, and that's your guy you're bringing off the bench.
And I liked what I saw out of Gary Sanchez last night. He looked like he might
Much
be turning
better.
a corner.
Much better.
He took the ball the other way for that single. He should have walked in a second at bat. We got a bad call, but then he nearly hit a home run. He walked. He did draw a walk later in the game. So
He's
his
seeing the
at-bats
ball
were a
much
lot
better.
yesterday.
Yeah.
His at-bats were a lot better yesterday.
And he looks good
But-
behind the plate.
The Yankees got out of Baltimore with 2 wins, and then they came home for home opener against the Red Sox. And really, the thing I want to take away from the Red Sox series is how awful Boston's pitching is. I don't know how they've managed to just keep the Yankees to 5 runs a game, because they're pretty bad. These are a bunch of no-name nobodies really out there throwing. There's a couple decent guys. What is your problem?
Luke Voigt, though, those first 2 games, he went 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts. Then he went back-to-back games with a homer. That was that last game against Washington. 1 home run, 1 RBI. Then the grand slam against Baltimore. He went 0 for 3 in yesterday's game, but
He
Yeah.
had a couple hits in Friday night, though, right?
yeah,
Though
he went
had
2
decent-
2 for 4 with a homer, 4 RBI.
Yeah, and the Red Sox, man, it's just crazy to watch them right now, because we're talking about a team that won the championship a couple years ago, and they're just a shell of themselves, a complete shell of themselves. Even if Sale wasn't hurt, that team is not going anywhere. They're just not going anywhere.
If they had Sale, Evaldi, Rodriguez, it's not a terrible 1-2-3, but they don't have. They have Evaldi, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, listen.
I mean,
even
it doesn't
outside of the
look like
pitching, who do they have? Bogarts and Benintendi. Like, who else?
JD
Oh, no,
Martinez.
Devers. Yeah,
Devers,
I guess they look flat to
I
me.
think there's 3 levels to baseball, right? Offense, defense, and pitching. They got the offense. They have the defense. Xander Bogaerts is an unbelievable shortstop, but they're just missing that one piece. And as a Red Sox fan, I get that you are probably the most successful franchise of this decade and maybe of the last 20 years. You could maybe argue. But why? How can you not be frustrated right now? They have to be one of the more frustrating franchises in the sport
this
right
is
now,
what-
because all you need is a couple starting pitchers, and you're competing for a playoff spot.
This is what I always appreciated, and I think that Yankee fans don't give Cashman enough credit for this, is that even through the championship runs, even when you kind of knew they just didn't have a championship caliber team, the Yankees were always competitive through most of the season. Where the Red Sox, they go championship to nothing. They did it in 2012, and I think they did it in 2000. When did they win again? 2007.
They won
I know,
04, 07,
and
12.
and 12, and then
And
18.
18.
I think they've done it
They
after
didn't win in
every.
2012. Didn't the Giants win in 2012?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
13 or something.
So it was 4-7,
Anyway, I forgot to mention this while we were talking about the Orioles. Is that what did Richard Blair do to the Baltimore Orioles that they traded him to a team with a massive COVID outbreak?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of scumbag move did he pull that they said, "Fuck you, you're going to the team that where everybody's getting fucking COVID"?
Yeah, that's bad.
Hey, well, Miami's got to make some moves now because they don't have half their team playing for the next week.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That maybe that'll come out. In,
I don't know if he.
weeks.
I don't know if Blair's the answer though.
You know, I got to give Smoltz some credit. Finally,
Former Yankee Richard Blair, by the way.
I mean, maybe it's a Yankee bias, but it seems like whenever the Yankees are on a national broadcast, the announcers go out of their way to sort of just point out any negative about the New York Yankees. I don't think so either.
It's not your bias.
I'm just throwing
it's
it
true.
out there. But it was like, I'm like, wait, am I hearing this right? They were praising the Yankees for like 5 minutes, mainly Brian Cashman for what he was able to do. And we totally overlook this because we're Yankee fans and we expect them to win every year. But the fact that they traded away their best players in 2016 and it was considered a retooling and not a rebuild, and they didn't skip a beat or fall off like the Red Sox are kind of doing right now. It's unbelievable what Brian Cashman was able to do, and that's what Smoltzy was saying. And I gotta say thanks to John Smoltz for finally giving the Yankees some credit.
I'll never give him credit. I hate his guts.
When he was bringing up Stanton and Judge, then he had to throw in the backhand on. But you know there are holes in these guys' game. You can find ways to strike them out, and you can strike them out a lot.
Yep.
So he couldn't just let it go.
You bum.
He just couldn't let it go. He had to throw that in there as well. But Friday night home opener, Yanks win 5-1. You get another Judge home run, and then I think the Gardy hit a home run. That was his first home run in the season. Who else went deep in that game? Gio, right?
Yeah,
Gio.
So Gio's got back-to-back games with with
first career grand slam, and it was Luke Voigt's first career grand slam as well.
I think the big takeaway there is Jordan Montgomery gave you 5 2/3 of 1-run ball, so he looks
great.
good. He looks back from Tommy John surgery. So I mean, if you can get me Jordan Montgomery into the sixth, giving up 1 run, I mean, I'll sign for that in blood every single time. You had Chad Green, Ottavino, and Holder then close it out for the Yankees.
So real quick, let me just ask you this. Okay, let's assume that Montgomery's healthy and he continues to give us some form of what he already has, and he's going to be able to take you into the sixth at least in most of his games. You know you're going to get that out of Cole. Paxton, we're going to chalk up to a fluke of a shitty night. He's going to give you innings. Tanaka's going to eventually build back up to give you innings. That leaves us with Hap, where then you don't need as much from him as far as eating innings goes. Then would you be quicker to pull him out of this rotation for, say, King or maybe even Schmidt?
Give me a King-Nick Nelson combo. Have one of them
you could do a
open
combo.
and have the other. Or give me a combo of Loizica, King, and Nelson.
Give me
but
that. Here's the thing with Nelson. He looked so comfortable relieving last night with Canely being out. If Nelson's going to be a reliable bullpen guy, you might just bring him out of the bullpen for the rest of the year.
You could.
You might not need to use him as a starter.
You could also say that with Loizica.
I think Loizica, you can't look at his lines to know how good he looks right now. It's just that command. I mean, we talked about this. His stuff is truly, out of all the young guys right now, Loizica to me, as far as stuff goes, is the best.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? Now that you bring that up, is Michael Pineda, a guy that had really, when he was on, Michael Pineda was one of the best pitchers in baseball when he had his stuff.
I remember Mother's Day, I forget what year it was.
Against the Mariners, maybe?
He had like 20 strikeouts or something.
That was the game against the Mariners.
It was like probably 14 or 15. But
and he was lights out. And it was the first time I looked, I was like, this guy's a really good pitcher. Yeah. He's just all over. The game
was against the Twins.
I'm pretty sure it was against the Seattle Mariners.
I thought it was the Mariners.
I'd almost guarantee that it was, what's the Japanese pitcher?
Kikuchi?
No, it's from a few years ago.
Daisuke Matsuzaka?
No, on the Mariners. It was against that guy.
Iwakuma?
Yeah, Iwakuma. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean...
What year you think that was, Christian?
2016.
Yeah, I think it was 2016. All right, I'll look into it.
So then, we move on to last night's game. Yankees win 5-2. That was Tanaka's season debut. We'll give you his line here: 2 2/3, 2 runs, 1 earned because Torres made an error on when the ball was thrown in, allowed the second run to score, and 3 strikeouts. It doesn't jump off at the page, but Booney said that he had about 50 pitches in him, and I think he gave the Yankees, I don't know, should say it somewhere, 51. So pretty much right on the mark of what Boone said Tanaka had in him. I like the way he looked. I mean, he's just got to build himself up now. I thought his stuff looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know where this rotation's going to go as far as guys staying healthy, as far as Tanaka. I don't know how long Tanaka's going to need. He's aging over the last couple of years. Obviously, he's still young, though. He's young enough to really be able to build back up.
I say he's probably about 3 to 4 starts away from being able to give you 100.
He should be able to pick back up pretty quick. And let me tell you something. There was something I noticed about Tanaka last night. First of all, that splitter we know when he's on is unhittable. But there was something about his fastball last night that just looked harder than it actually was being thrown, and it was effective up in the zone. And that's why he had a few strikeouts.
His fastball was up and hard. So was it a blue fastball?
It was a blue. Do you have a 4-seam or a 2-seam? I throw a blue seam.
It looks like that Pineda game was actually against Baltimore. He threw
yes, you're
7
right.
innings, 16 strikeouts.
Wow.
Back in
2015 on May 10th.
We were all wrong.
Yeah, we were all wrong.
All right. So yesterday, this is how sick this Yankees team is, and it's really disgusting. It might even be illegal. I don't know. Manfred might have to make a rule about it here. That the Yankees look at their vaunted bullpen, right? Aroldis Chapman, COVID. Tommy Kahnle, Tommy John surgery. Zach Britton, Adam Ottavino wiped out because Boone was worried about their usage, which is fine. I have no issue with it. Ryan keeps saying it's glorified spring training, and it kind of is. So why are you going to push these guys if you felt that they've pitched too much? And people will be like, oh, but Britton didn't pitch this on Friday night, but
he warmed
Boone
up.
had him up a couple times.
Yeah.
And, Boone will tell you that counts. So here's where they go. Avalon, 1 1/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, no runs. Nick Nelson just dumped a bunch of filth on the Red Sox. 3 innings, 4 strikeouts.
In his debut, by the way.
Yeah.
In his major league debut, he was a 4th-round pick in 2016, so that's good to see him coming through the system already. And then David Hale, who I think he was sold to Japan once, if I'm not mistaken.
He probably was.
This is just to fuck you on the top of the cake here, as he gives you the Yankees 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, allows 3 base runners, 2 walks and a hit there, but allows no runs to get the 2-inning save. So, I mean, come on, bro.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And like we just said, yeah, the Red Sox are shelled themselves, but you rattled off a few names that are still legitimate players in Major League Baseball. That's not a pushover lineup. They might look flat right now, but for those guys to go out there and do what they did last night is remarkable. Especially when you have guys going down, and like you said, not having Chapman. Now you don't have Kahnle.
Yeah, and just another reason why it is beneficial for the Yankees to give guys like Ottavino and Britton those extra days is, all right, whenever I think of a team making the playoffs, you can most of the time you can always look back that team went on 1 or 2 really nice runs in that year. They didn't like cancel it out with a 10-run losing streak, but they only went on 1 or 2 runs and they played middle of the pack type of baseball. The Yankees have done this in the past where they start out hot, then they kind of go 500 for a little, they end hot. When you're only playing 60 games and you're 6-1 in your first 7 games, we're a little over 10% of the season's done. The Yankees, they only need this 1 run. If they could rattle out, off another 3 wins in a row and go start 9-1, then rest these guys as much as you want, because there's almost no way you don't make the playoffs at that point.
And I'll say this too. The biggest difference I take out of Boone compared to Girardi is that there's something genuine about Boone, and I think it really what's the word I'm looking for? It really translates to his players.
Yeah,
that
resonates.
He has a genuine confidence in these guys. Where I felt like when Girardi would kind of make these moves, you'd be like, what the fuck is he doing?
Well, the binder.
And it was more like, oh, this statistically, so this could work. When Boone brings a guy like Nelson out, he doesn't give a fuck that it's his debut. He has confidence that this kid can go out there and get the job done. And I think that's why you've seen over the last couple of years some no-name guys out of the bullpen who have actually been pretty successful for this team.
Yeah, and you made a great point to me just in a text that, and I didn't really notice this, but he is this kind of manager where he's gonna maybe leave you out and let you test yourself and try and build that confidence. A guy like David Hale going 2 innings last night, that was a huge risk. I mean, I know they didn't have any other option, but think of that confidence boost that gives David Hale. Think of what Nick Nelson was able to do.
Yeah.
Giving these guys multiple innings and a chance to be that guy that helps get them the win in that game. That's something you really need to focus on when you're judging a manager.
So, I mean, just to wrap up Nick Nelson here, man, I was really impressed with his stuff. He's a little wild, which is kind of the book on him.
It's a book on all these young pitchers now.
But he's got a plus fastball. I think he was bringing it as high as 98 last night.
Yeah, it was filthy.
That changeup is pretty damn good too. So I mean, came away very impressed with Nick Nelson. Just another weapon the Yankees have sitting out in that bullpen now, it looks like. And then we move on to tonight. The Yankees are going for a sweep of the Red Sox. Like Ryan said, they're trying to go 7-1 to start the season. It's going to be some guy named Bryce with a 7.71 ERA starting for the Red Sox today. I believe
Bryce
he's not
Harper?
actually.
Bryce
I believe he's not.
Brents?
I don't think he's a starter.
Yeah.
He's pitching 4 games already. Yeah, he's not a starter. He's pitching 4 games already. He's pitched 4 2/3 innings. So it just seems like he's a regular reliever. Maybe the Red Sox will go on bullpen game. But where the Yankees are concerned is, James Paxton's pitching tonight, and he can't give you what he gave you last time out. You need to see closer to the James Paxton that we saw towards the end of 2019.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. I just want to make another quick point on Tanaka. It just kind of hit me. And I think we should all anyone listening to this, and the 3 of us should keep an eye out on this, because I want to look out for certain things that we can decipher that Matt Blake coming into the picture has changed a little bit. And I think it just hit me why Tanaka looked different to me last night. And let's see if this was a result of anything Blake has done with him. Tanaka has always been the guy who uses that fastball to get ahead early, and then that splitter to get guys out, or to strike guys out, swing and miss. Really, last night, if you go back to that game, he was using his fastball as a strikeout pitch. He was able to throw that splitter so effectively earlier on in the count that high fastball,
he was throwing the high fastball.
Looked a lot faster than it was after throwing that splitter, and B, he was using it for a strikeout pitch, which you don't see out of Tanaka. So keep an eye on that. Maybe Blake made a few tweaks with Tanaka, and he's going to start using that more.
We know Larry's fault, so.
No, yeah, of course.
Yeah, because that was only clocking at 92, but it was
Yeah,
playing
he
a lot
hit
harder.
93 a couple times, but it looked like it was coming in at least 95, 96.
Yeah, I agree.
And even though, and go just real quick, even though I tweeted this the other night that I would have taken another 5-inning Yankee win, I'm glad that it didn't happen, because then it would have gotten Manfred's mind that we only have to play 5 innings this year.
Right. Agreed.
So, but again, that's one of those things. Like, how long are you going to wait for a rain delay? I think it was like, an hour and 40 minutes or something? They're doing 7-inning doubleheaders because they don't want guys sitting around catching coronavirus. But, how long are we going to sit around and wait for rain delays? When do you pull the plug on something?
Yeah, because there's only 20 minutes in between a true doubleheader.
And this is another reason why they shouldn't have done that extra inning runner on second rule, and maybe should have considered adding the tie into baseball, and maybe take a page from hockey's playbook with maybe a sort of point system this year. Where
you don't even have to, right? You could just do a winning. You just go by winning percentage.
Yeah, right. Or just let's end games in a tie instead of having delays that are longer than 45 minutes to an hour. And did the Yankees really deserve that win on opening night? I mean, I get it. That's the rules that you play 5, but it's like at that point, there's still so much baseball left.
Yeah. Listen, for me. And this was brought up on Twitter. I saw a couple of people talking about it. You might just have to be okay with the fact that teams aren't going to make up all their games this year. there's going to be too many postponed games with everything going on, and on top of that, the rain that we get every other day in this,
There's
area.
a hurricane coming Tuesday,
right?
too,
So you got to just kind of be okay with the fact that some teams aren't going to play 60 games at this point, and you're really just, as always, looking at win percentage, and you got to just kind of be okay with that.
All right, so we'll look ahead now, unless you guys need anything else you want to recap that happened throughout the week.
No.
Tonight, Sunday Night Baseball, Yankees go for the sweep against the Red Sox, and then I'm looking at MLB at bat. Of course, this is all subject to change because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus and outbreaks, but it looks like the Yankees are going to be home for 2 to make up the games with the Philadelphia Phillies. Monday, 7:05, Tuesday, 6:05, Wednesday in Philadelphia at 7, and then Thursday in Philadelphia at 6 o'clock, and then it looks like we're heading to Tampa to play 4 games in 3 days. Friday night, doubleheader Saturday, and then game on Sunday afternoon. So that looks like what the Yankees' schedule is going to be going forward here. We'll see if anything changes from that. But we'll be back Sunday night to drop a new show for you Monday morning. So that's the schedule going forward here. Again, everything is subject to change because God only knows what the hell's going to happen or may have happened while we've been recording. So. But if there's nothing else to do, thank you for listening to episode 187 of the NYYST podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. I bring Creed in for the goodbye, but he's sleeping now, so he's been relatively a good boy here. He's better behaved than Stat Guy Rye is. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for listening to the show. We appreciate it. Please follow us on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. Stat Guy Rye.
Go Yanks.
Chris, say goodbye.
Peace.